I, 32F, recently lost my husband Nathan, 34M, to cancer. We were married for 5 years before he passed away last month. Nathan was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer just 6 months after our wedding. It was devastating, but Nathan fought bravely for as long as he could. Nathan and I met in college. We were both studying engineering and had several classes together. At first, we were just study buddies, but over time our friendship blossomed into something more. Nathan was always the life of the party, quick with the joke and always ready for an adventure. I was more reserved, but he brought out a fun-loving side of me I didn't know existed. After graduation, we both landed jobs at the same tech company. We started dating officially, and things moved quickly from there. Nathan proposed on a camping trip in the mountains, presenting me with a ring he'd designed himself. It was perfect. Our wedding was a joyous affair, full of laughter and love. Nathan's mom, Connie, 58F, cried happy tears throughout the ceremony. His dad, Edgar, 62M, gave a heartfelt toast at the reception, expressing regret for not being more present in Nathan's life and vowing to do better going forward. Some background on Nathan's family situation. His parents divorced when he was 10. The split was messy, with lots of fighting over custody and assets. Connie raised Nathan as a single parent, working 2 jobs to make ends meet. Edgar paid child support but wasn't very involved in Nathan's day-to-day life growing up. He'd take Nathan for the occasional weekend or holiday, but their relationship was strained. As an adult, Nathan made efforts to reconnect with his dad. Things were starting to improve between them when Edgar announced he was getting remarried. About 2 years ago, Edgar married a much younger woman named Tiffany, 36F. Nathan and I were skeptical of Tiffany from the start. She seemed to be with Edgar mainly for his money. Edgar had done well for himself financially. He owned a successful chain of auto repair shops and had smart investments in real estate. Tiffany, on the other hand, had a spotty employment history and a mountain of credit card debt when they met. She quickly moved in with Edgar and started enjoying the perks of his wealth. Tiffany made little effort to get to know Nathan or me. She would show up to family events dripping in expensive jewelry and designer clothes, clearly enjoying Edgar's wealth. She barely acknowledged Nathan's illness, never visited him in the hospital, and didn't even send a card. When Nathan was diagnosed with cancer, it felt like our world shattered. We'd been trying for a baby, excited to start our family. Instead, we found ourselves navigating a nightmare of doctor's appointments, chemo treatments, and difficult conversations about end-of-life care. Throughout Nathan's illness, Connie was our rock. She practically moved in with us, cooking meals, cleaning the house, and providing emotional support. Edgar visited when he could, but Tiffany always had an excuse not to come. She claimed hospitals made her uncomfortable. Nathan fought hard for 4.5 years. There were moments of hope. A scan showing the tumors had shrunk. A good day where he felt strong enough for a short hike. But in the end, the cancer was too aggressive. Nathan passed away peacefully at home with me and his parents by his side. I was in a fog of grief for days after Nathan died. Connie helped me make funeral arrangements, knowing I wanted to honor Nathan's wishes for a celebration of his life rather than a somber affair. We planned a service filled with Nathan's favorite music, funny stories from friends, and a slideshow of photos from throughout his life. The day of the funeral arrived. The chapel was packed with people whose lives Nathan had touched. Edgar and Tiffany arrived late, causing a small disruption as they made their way to the front row. I noticed Tiffany was wearing a low-cut dress that seemed inappropriate for a funeral. She spent most of the service on her phone, looking bored. After the ceremony, we held a reception at our house. I was exhausted from greeting guests and receiving condolences. I excused myself to go upstairs and freshen up. As I approached our bedroom, I heard noises inside. I peeked in and saw Tiffany rifling through Nathan's belongings. Before I could confront her, she grabbed his wallet and shoved it in her purse. I was stunned and didn't know how to react, so I quietly walked away. I was in shock. How could someone be so callous as to steal from their dead stepson at his own funeral? I wanted to scream at Tiffany, to expose her for the gold digger she was. But a small, vengeful part of me also wanted to see how far she would take this. I decided not to confront Tiffany or tell Edgar right away. Instead, I called the credit card companies and asked them to send me statements, but keep the cards active. I told them I was the executor of Nathan's estate and needed to track any posthumous charges for legal reasons. They agreed to send me detailed reports. Over the next 2 weeks, I threw myself into thank you notes and other post-funeral tasks. It was a welcome distraction from my grief, but I also kept a close eye on the credit card statements as they came in. Tiffany wasted no time in taking advantage of her theft. She started small, a $500 spa day, a $1,000 shopping spree at a high-end department store. But her purchases quickly escalated. First-class flights to Vegas, a $5,000 a night suite at a luxury hotel, thousands spent at exclusive nightclubs and restaurants. In total, she racked up over $50,000 in charges in just 14 days. I was sickened by Tiffany's behavior, but also felt a grim satisfaction in knowing I had proof of her true nature. Yesterday, I finally decided it was time to tell Edgar everything. I invited him over, sat him down, and calmly explained what I'd witnessed at the funeral. Then I showed him the credit card statements proving it was Tiffany making the charges. Edgar was livid. His face turned red and his hands shook as he looked at the evidence. He immediately called Tiffany and told her to come to my house right away. When she arrived 30 minutes later, she seemed annoyed at being summoned. Her attitude changed quickly when Edgar confronted her about stealing Nathan's wallet and going on a spending spree. Tiffany tried to deny it at first, claiming she'd never touched Nathan's wallet, but the evidence was clear. She then tried to justify it by saying she deserved nice things for putting up with Nathan's illness and death. She said Edgar never bought her gifts or took her on trips like that. Edgar lost it and kicked her out of the house on the spot. He said he's filing for divorce and will press charges for credit card fraud. I feel somewhat vindicated that Tiffany's true colors were exposed, but a small part of me wonders if I should have spoken up sooner instead of letting her dig herself into a deeper hole. My mom says I was wrong to set a trap for Tiffany, even if she is a horrible person. She thinks I should have just canceled the cards immediately and told Edgar what happened. So Reddit Aida for letting my gold-digging stepmother-in-law steal my dead husband's credit cards just so I could catch her red-handed? Update 1. It's been about a week since everything went down with Tiffany. A lot has happened, so I wanted to give an update. First, Edgar did follow through on filing for divorce. He hired a high-powered lawyer and is going after Tiffany for fraud. The lawyer said there's a good chance she'll face criminal charges too. Edgar is devastated and feels like a fool for falling for Tiffany's act. He came over to my house and broke down crying, apologizing for bringing her into our lives and not seeing her true nature sooner. Edgar shared some details about his relationship with Tiffany that shed more light on the situation. They met at a charity golf tournament where Tiffany was working as a cocktail waitress. Edgar said he was lonely and flattered by the attention from a beautiful younger woman. Tiffany quickly moved in with him, claiming she was having problems with her roommate. Edgar now realizes she was probably just evading rent payments. Tiffany always had excuses for why she couldn't get a job. She was going back to school, but never enrolled. She was starting a business that never materialized. She had vague health issues that prevented her from working. Edgar admitted he ignored red flags because he enjoyed having arm candy and didn't want to be alone. I felt bad for Edgar as he shared all this. He's not a bad person, just lonely and naive when it comes to relationships. He said he wants to make amends for not being there for Nathan more when he was younger. We talked about setting up a scholarship in Nathan's name at his old high school. Meanwhile, Tiffany has been blowing up my phone with angry messages. She's calling me every name in the book and threatening to ruin my life for exposing her. She says I'm just jealous of her youth and beauty. I've blocked her number and am documenting everything in case I need a restraining order. What's most upsetting is that my mom is still taking Tiffany's side. She says what I did was entrapment and that two wrongs don't make a right. We got into a huge argument where she accused me of being vindictive and unchristian. I tried explaining that I didn't force Tiffany to steal or spend money, I just didn't stop her right away. But my mom won't budge. My mom has always been judgmental and prone to taking the moral high ground. When I was a teenager, she grounded me for a month because I didn't tattle on a friend who was cheating on a test. She said my silence made me complicit in the cheating. I feel like this situation is bringing up old resentments between us. To make matters worse, my mom told my extended family her version of events. Now I'm getting judgmental messages from aunts and cousins saying I should be ashamed. Only my dad and sister are firmly on my side. It hurts to be villainized by my own family when I'm still grieving Nathan. I've been spending a lot of time with Connie, Nathan's mom. She's been a rock for me through all of this. She said she always had a bad feeling about Tiffany and is glad her true nature was exposed before she could do more damage. Connie reminded me that Nathan would be proud of me for standing up to Tiffany's behavior. Connie shared some stories about raising Nathan as a single mom. She worked as a nurse and often pulled double shifts to make ends meet. Nathan would help out by doing laundry and starting dinner. Connie said he was always thoughtful that way, even as a kid. It was nice to hear these glimpses into Nathan's childhood. Edgar asked me to give a statement to the police about what I witnessed at the funeral. I agreed, even though part of me is nervous about getting more involved. The detective I spoke to said my statement is crucial evidence. He also warned me that Tiffany will likely try to paint me as the villain, so I should be prepared. I'm trying to focus on honoring Nathan's memory rather than all this drama. I'm working on compiling photos and stories from his life to make a memorial book. It helps to remember the good times we had, even if they were cut too short. I found an old journal of his from college and have been reading through it. His humor and kindness shine through even in those early writings. There's still a long road ahead with the legal proceedings against Tiffany. I'm bracing myself for more drama and attacks on my character. But I keep reminding myself that exposing her behavior was the right thing to do, even if some people disagree with my methods. Update 2. Another week has gone by, and the situation with Tiffany has escalated even further. I'm still processing everything that's happened. Tiffany was arrested and charged with credit card fraud and theft. She's facing up to 15 years in prison if convicted on all counts. When she was released on bail, she immediately violated the no-contact order by showing up at my house. I was home alone when Tiffany started pounding on the door and screaming obscenities. She was clearly drunk or high. I could hear her slurring her words as she called me a home-wrecking bitch and threatened to make me pay. I called 911 and locked myself in the bedroom until police arrived. They arrested her again for violating bail. It was terrifying, and I'm still shaken up. The incident brought back memories of a scary situation from my past. In college, I had a stalker, a guy from one of my classes who became obsessed with me. He would show up outside my dorm and follow me around campus. It escalated to him breaking into my room one night. Luckily, my roommate came home and scared him off. We got a restraining order, but I was jumpy for months afterward. The situation with Tiffany is bringing up a lot of those old fears. Edgar feels horrible about what happened. He's paying for me to install a security system and offered to hire a bodyguard, but I declined. He's also covering all the legal fees related to the credit card fraud case. Edgar said he'll do whatever it takes to make this right. My relationship with my mom has completely fallen apart. She's still defending Tiffany and says I'm blowing things out of proportion. When I told her about Tiffany showing up at my house, my mom said I was probably exaggerating to get sympathy. She thinks I should drop the charges and let Tiffany off with a warning. I've decided to go no contact with her for now. It hurts, but I can't deal with her victim blaming on top of everything else. I've been having nightmares about Tiffany breaking into my house. I wake up in a cold sweat, heart racing. I'm jumpy during the day too, startling at small noises. My doctor prescribed some anti-anxiety medication to help take the edge off. I'm also looking into self-defense classes to feel more empowered. On a more positive note, I've grown closer with Nathan's friends from college. They've been checking in on me regularly and sharing funny stories about Nathan that I'd never heard before. It helps to laugh and remember the good times. His best friend Mike told me about a spring break trip where Nathan got chased by a flock of seagulls after accidentally spilling a bucket of chum on himself. It was nice to smile at the mental image. I'm trying to stay strong, but some days are really hard. I miss Nathan terribly. I keep expecting him to walk through the door or call to check in. The house feels so empty without him, but I know he'd want me to keep living and not let Tiffany's actions consume me. I've been thinking about the future and what I want my life to look like moving forward. Nathan and I had so many plans: traveling, starting a family, building our dream home. It's hard to imagine doing those things without him, but I'm trying to find new goals to work towards. I'm considering going back to school for a master's degree. Nathan always encouraged me to further my education. For now, I'm taking things one day at a time. I'm grateful for the support of Connie, Edgar, and Nathan's friends. They've been a lifeline during this difficult time. I just hope the legal proceedings wrap up quickly so I can start to move on and heal. Update 3. It's been a month since my last update. Tiffany's trial started last week, and I had to testify about what I saw at the funeral. It was nerve-wracking being on the stand, but I'm glad I was able to tell the truth. Tiffany's lawyer tried to paint me as a bitter, jealous woman out for revenge. He brought up the fact that Nathan and I had been trying for a baby before his diagnosis, implying that I resented Tiffany for being younger and still able to have children. It was a low blow that made me furious, but I managed to keep my cool and stick to the facts. The prosecutor did a good job of establishing the timeline of events and showing Tiffany's pattern of deception. They brought in witnesses from the hotel and nightclubs in Vegas who confirmed seeing Tiffany there, flashing cash and bragging about her rich husband. One of the most damning pieces of evidence was a text Tiffany had sent to a friend the day after the funeral. It said, "Nathan Pott, the old man's brat kicked the bucket and I scored his credit cards. Time to live it up." It made me sick to my Segurac hearing those words read aloud in court. The jury deliberated for less than 2 hours before finding Tiffany guilty on all charges. She'll be sentenced next month, but the prosecutor thinks she'll get at least 10 years. Tiffany broke down sobbing when the verdict was read. Part of me felt a tiny bit sorry for her, but mostly I just felt relief that justice was served. Edgar has been incredibly supportive throughout the trial. He testified against Tiffany and made it clear that her actions were hers alone. The divorce is moving forward, and Edgar's lawyer thinks he'll be able to avoid paying her any alimony due to her criminal conduct. I'm still not speaking to my mom. She sent me a long email doubling down on her stance that I'm equally to blame for what happened. She said I should have turned the other cheek and shown Christian forgiveness to Tiffany. I don't have the energy to argue with her anymore. My dad has been great, though, and even flew out to support me during the trial. I'm slowly starting to heal and move forward. I joined a grief support group for young widows and widowers. It helps to talk to others who understand what I'm going through. Many of them have shared similar stories of family conflicts in the aftermath of losing a spouse. It's comforting to know I'm not alone in these struggles. I'm also thinking about volunteering at the hospital where Nathan was treated. I want to find a way to honor his memory and help others going through similar struggles. Nathan always talked about how much the volunteers meant to him during his long hospital stays. They brought moments of brightness to some really dark days. Edgar and I have been working on setting up that scholarship in Nathan's name at his old high school. We decided it will go to a student pursuing engineering, since that's what Nathan was passionate about. It feels good to create something positive out of this whole mess. Connie has been encouraging me to take a trip, to get away for a while and clear my head. She offered to come with me if I don't want to travel alone. I'm considering it, maybe a beach vacation somewhere warm and peaceful. Nathan and I had always talked about visiting Hawaii. Maybe I'll scatter some of his ashes there. For now, I'm taking things day by day. Some mornings it's still hard to get out of bed. The grief comes in waves, hitting me when I least expect it. But I'm trying to be patient with myself and remember that healing isn't linear. I know there will likely be more challenges ahead as Tiffany's sentencing approaches. But I feel stronger now, more capable of handling whatever comes my way. Nathan always said I was the strongest person he knew. I'm trying my best to live up to that.